Good evening all and welcome to this April meeting of the Barossa Assessment Panel. I'll take this opportunity to welcome members and staff and those who have joined us in the gallery and also online this evening. Just a note before I get proceedings underway, we do record these meetings just to make sure we have an accurate copy and reflection of the discussion and what occurred. Now I'll start by introducing the members of the panel to you. So to my right we have Graham Burns and Tony Hearn, and to my left we have Sarah Elding, and online we have Rachel Nucky, and my name is Jeff Parsons. I'm the presiding member, and we are ably assisted by a number of members of council staff. To my left we have Aaron, our assessment manager. To my far left we have Jake, the Director of Development Environmental Services, Chris, who's helping us with minutes and governance, and we also have Alex, who's our planning officer for our first item this evening. So good evening to you all. In terms of our agenda, we just have a few administrative items to move through and then we will get to our items for consideration. So in terms of attendance tonight, all members are present. There are no apologies. The confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. Last meeting was held, I think the recommendation here says on the 3rd of March, but that's not the case. Yes, the December meeting was the last time we met, so all members have received a copy of those minutes. Do we have any questions in relation to the minutes? No? Is there someone prepared to move that they be adopted, please? Graham, you're moving, thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconder, Rachel, thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand, and that's carried unanimously. Now, I don't think there's any business arising from the minutes. No. Is there any declaration of interest by any member of the panel in respect of any of the items before us this evening? No. Okay. So this does bring us to our first development assessment item for consideration this evening. So this is an application for a change of use from an existing ancillary accommodation building to shared use, so ancillary accommodation plus tourist accommodation. It is located in the township neighbourhood zone. It was performance assessed and publicly notified. Alex, you were the assessing officer for the application. Is there anything you'd like to say as an introduction to the item?
Just a couple of sentences.
Sure.
Yep, so that one's a change of use for an additional use of tourist accommodation to the existing ancillary accommodation. That's one bedroom, maximum of 2 occupants at one time. That additional use or that shared use will give some flexibility to the applicant. So some parts of the year, such as around gather round, that can operate as tourist accommodation, short term, like an Airbnb, and other times of the year that can be used for the ancillary accommodation for like family members, friends, that sort of thing. I will also add that there have been some minor amendments to the attachment 3, the screening to the window. They're quite minor and they will still achieve the desired outcome of the screening though.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that. All right, members, we did have a representative to be heard in respect to this item. I understand we have Monica with us. So, Monica, can I invite you just to come forward to the little table in front of me here?
Just the one up there.
Yeah, just the one here. Thank you. So just while you're making your way up there, there are some rules for how this process works, and I know we have Lindley, the applicant, online with us, so I'll come to Lindley after I've heard from you. But there's just some guidelines, I guess, around how this process works. So this really is an opportunity for you to be heard in support of your representation. Once you've had the opportunity to address the panel, then we will ask the applicant to respond. You do normally have 5 minutes within which to address the panel, and I do normally keep track of time. It's just so I can provide procedural fairness to everyone. So if you get close to that mark, I'll just ask you to begin summing up. It's important to note that the panel does have copies of the written representation that you put in, as well as the applicant's response. So we've had a chance to consider all of that. So, like I said, this is really a good chance to highlight any of the key points you'd like us to take into account. The panel might have questions of you when you finish, so I'll get you to stay seated there, and I'll check if there are any questions. And if not, then you're welcome to return to your seat and observe the rest of the meeting. It's all open. Often the panel does have more questions of the applicant than the representative, and that's just because the applicant has detailed knowledge of the proposal, and we might need to delve down into that a little bit. Once you've spoken, there's no further opportunity to address the panel, but like I said, you are welcome to stay and observe the decision. So if you've never done this before, it can be daunting, but there's no need for it to be. The panel's genuinely interested in. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're expert. So when you're ready, I'm happy to hand the floor over to you. Or just make sure you've got your microphone on there, I think. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So initially, Linley Downs' application to council was misleading. She had said that it was going to be used for family, which then concerned me when I first saw the first guests arriving, and wondered why. And I looked at the website, and obviously she had advertised through Airbnb previously. So obviously it had been set up for a while. I was under the understanding that I should have heard, if it was going to be used for accommodation, that I would have got some notice to have a say from the very beginning. There are privacy issues, so there's talk of screening. I see she's put up a board. I see Miss Downs put up a board on the window to screen the back window that looks over my property, but that is hardly enough. That I've talked about trees being dead trees, and Isabel took some photos. The trees hardly warrant any screening. The parking, there's been an area at the front. If I was a guest arriving at the parking and thinking I've got to walk all the way from the front to the back with luggage, it's hardly accommodating. There's no disabled access. A car that's been there for the accommodation's been used, it's been parked on the street, which makes it very difficult and dangerous coming in and off of our road with the rise on Jollytown Road, and getting into the traffic. So they're the few things that have been bothering me. I just think it should have been either courtesy to come to me first privately, or her application to council was misleading.
Okay, thank you very much, Monica. You made your points very well.
Do I turn this off now?
For the time, yeah, I'll just check if there are any questions for you first. So do we have any? Yeah, Graham Johnson.
Thank you. Through the presiding member, I've had a look at your property as well as the site today, but I've only seen it from the road, so I haven't been onto the property and gone up close to the proposed church accommodation. But I'm interested in your comment about privacy and the need for some additional screening to address your concern. I see that the fence on the other side of the property has got a 100, 200 mil high additional screen on top of the fence. It struck me that given that the site of the proposed development sits lower than your property, given the lay of the land, together with the vegetation that clearly does exist, I could see from the road that the vegetation is not dead, as it's been suggested. It seemed to be well and truly alive. Together with the fact that the property itself is lower than yours, and there is an existing fence already, to what extent, because I haven't been onto your property, but to what extent is there likely to be direct overlooking from that bedroom window? That's what I'm particularly interested to know. Yeah. Noting that the only photographs that the only evidence that I've seen of overlooking is through the bedroom, through a curtain, see-through curtain. looking pretty well full on than the fence that exists, probably a 1.8 metre high fence. So I'm a bit interested to know to what extent you believe there would be direct overlooking from
It's
that
very
bedroom.
visible. I have a swimming pool, and from that window, you would be able to see in the pool. So, don't know if you've seen plans or the distance that from that window you can see in the pool. And dead trees, back in November, late last year, they certainly were dead. The place was very untidy when accommodation was first let, and some of those trees were dead. They've been watered since, and they've picked up a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any further questions, members?
Actually, there's the half, yeah. They're hardly full-on trees. Sorry, can I add also that initially when Lindley did move back in, the house has been in the family for a long time, but when she moved back into the house, she actually scraped the fall of the land, which made it even worse. And then she's fenced one side. Well, if she didn't fence one side, there could have been access to the rear. So a fence from the boundary, the front boundary, which you probably saw. Yeah, so, you know, if that was unfenced, guests could have almost pulled up right next to the accommodation.
Okay. Thank you, Monica. I think, you,
Yep.
like I said, you made your points very well. So welcome to return to your seat and,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks
like I
very
said,
much.
observe the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I understand we have the applicant, Lindley, with us online. So, Lindley, there's an opportunity for you to respond and to make any points that you would like the panel to consider. The same rules that I outlined before are applicable to you. So, when you're ready, I'll get you to pop yourself off mute if you are off mute there, and then the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, and thanks for hearing me. Bit of background, yes, the house has been in the family for a while. The land was actually given to us by the Crown back in the 1800s, so it's passed through my family through all the generations. My dad, some of you may know, as a life member of Barossa District's football club, and he was, you know, known throughout the community, as am I, known through the community as having a business, the local cafe, and I guess I've had, you know, a good reputation through the town. My other neighbour seems to think I'm a pretty good neighbour. I've just popped something to that effect, or he has put something to that effect in a text message to me, which I think you may have a copy of there. So the plan was to build a granny flat for my mum after my dad passed away. Which I did. So my mum hadn't been ready to move in there, so I put it on Airbnb. Unbeknownst to me, I needed to change land usage. That came as a complete surprise to me. So had have I known, I would have gone through that process. The 4 points that Miss Wallstatt made, I believe they've all been covered and cleared. I lost future bookings on Airbnb. I had to change what I was doing. I then had some people rent there. Their car was parked out the front, yes. They work 12-hour days. Oh, sorry, nights. So their car was there during the day. And you're allowed to put your car out there during the day. So in relation to disabled parking, I don't intend to have disabled guests coming there. It's not for that. But I intend on carrying on a business there. I've created it as an accommodation that will be an addition to the community, somewhere for people to stay during gather round. So there's not that much more for me to say, I guess, but I just want to get on with things. There's been a number of times that Miss Volstadt has complained to council, complained to police, complained to CFS, complained to Wildlife Rescue about me. And my daughter and I have suffered because of that. I've sought legal counsel with David Mullen. All of this could have been resolved with a chat over the fence, and I just find this such a waste of taxpayers' money. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Lindley, for your presentation. Members, do you have any questions you would like to pose? No? Yes, Graham. Yeah.
Again, through the presiding member, goes back to the question that I asked earlier to the representative. I haven't been into the room, the bedroom, so I can't verify the claims that have been made by the representative about the potential for overlooking. But if you were standing in the bedroom and you were an average-sized person, would you be able to see into the backyard of the neighbour's property, and would you be able to see the swimming pool that the neighbour claims exists in the backyard? Just a simple yes or no. I don't
No, you-
want to go into detail.
Alex has a photo of that. And just a point of note, it's interesting that there's no back fence. That's you can actually see from the road at the back, and from the back reserve, you can see straight into Miss Volstadt's house. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, members? Any questions from you, Rachel? No? Okay, in that case, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm sorry. So, yeah, the way the process works, we obviously we hear from the representative first, then we hear from the applicant, but then it's up to the panel to debate the item. The only way I can allow further conversation is if they have further questions for you. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. All right, members, if that's all the questions for the applicant, then questions for the staff. Do you have any questions you would like to pose to Alex regarding this item? We can always come back to that if you decide you do. Sarah, yes.
Hi, I just wanted to confirm that it has building approval and development approval. Yep, no?
Yep. The original ancillary accommodation building was submitted back in 2024, and that does have full development approval.
Yes, Tony.
Through the chair, figure 12, the photo in 12, is that the view from the bedroom window across to the house, or could someone explain that one to me? It's got something on top of the fence. That one, yeah. That the one that's there.
That's towards the other neighbour.
Okay.
Thank you. Rachel.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes, we can.
Oh, you can. Good. We've just had tech issues, that's all. I just need to make sure. Look, my question's fairly straightforward, and I guess it relates back to the original approval for the ancillary accommodation. This is probably a question for Alex, if he knows. So obviously, ancillary accommodation, tourist accommodation, pretty similar residential use. Was there ever a condition put on to address overlooking on the ancillary accommodation at that point in time?
There was, yes. That was to address overlooking to the property that's set down. So that's not Miss Wolstad's property. That's that one there on the screen. Not sure if you can see that, Rachel. But that is a condition of the approval for the ancillary accommodation.
Yeah, okay. So it never addressed the bedroom window that is now of concern. So at that time, it was considered that bedroom window didn't need it. That's, I guess, what I'm just trying to ascertain.
I don't recall seeing any reference in the assessment regarding overlooking to the other property, and there was nothing in the plans to address that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions for the staff, then I seek your views in respect of this item, members. We obviously heard from the representative and the applicant. We have a good quality report from the administration, and the recommendation is to grant planning consent subject to a number of conditions. One of those conditions I know is around having screening on that window. What are your views in respect of this matter? Graham.
I'll lead off. Look, I'm completely comfortable with the proposal. The building exists. The windows of habitable rooms in that building exists. As I said before, when we were talking, I was talking to or responding and asking questions of the representative and the applicant. The building itself sits lower, I'd say at least by 500 mils lower than the representative's property. There is a fence along that boundary that I presume is about 1.6 metres high. There is vegetation between that fence and the building. So I think all in all, there couldn't be, in my view, a concern about direct overlooking to invade or infringe the privacy of the neighbouring property or indeed the rear yard of that property. Notwithstanding all of that, the proponent is proposing screening to the bedroom window. Ordinarily, by the way, the screening would be to a height of 1.5 metres above floor level, but here, because of those circumstances that I've raised, principally the house being lower than the property, the screening will be from the upper level of the window down to a height of 1.5. So all in all, it seems to me that the applicant has gone, in my view, above and beyond the requirement to provide reasonable levels of screening to minimise the impact of or the likelihood of direct overlooking. So all in all, and indeed there is a condition that's been recommended, I think condition 5, that will address the concern of direct overlooking and the need for screening. So all in all, in my view, the application is worthy of consent.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Rachel.
I completely mirror Graham's sentiments there. I think, to me, it's a building that exists. It's had an existing approval in place, so there's no physical changes per se. It's still a residential-based use, just albeit, you know, you might have a few more people coming and going, but I don't see that as a big issue. I'm not overly concerned with the fact that I don't believe there's a direct overlooking issue. However, I do think in goodwill the applicant has done the right thing by providing some screening to that window, of which I think, you know, in good faith helps to alleviate the concerns of that neighbour. So really it's consistent with the desired outcome and performance outcomes expressed for the zone. It's got connection to the wastewater system. The issues around driveway access and the stormwater issues, there's a practical outcome that's been reached for that, which is great. I'm completely comfortable with the recommendation as well. I just had a couple of little tweaks that I would like to suggest to a couple of the conditions, mainly just condition 1 to make reference to the operation and management plan. I do note that I think Lindley had put down, like, it was just some basic questions that she'd provided answers to and some correspondence. It may just be useful to make reference to that operation and management plan in that condition for sake of clarity. And also condition 5, I thought perhaps it may be useful to specify what elevation and room that window applies to, so that there is no mistake on which window we're talking about. So just writing that it's the northwest, the bedroom on the northwest elevation. Other than that, full support, well-documented report.
Thanks, Rachel. Tony.
Yep. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The first two speakers have really said more than I could have possibly said. but I think the levels have been taken into account, and the fact that the screening is being adhered to or going to be made, and the driveway issues have been covered. So I don't want to double up on anything, Mr. Chairman. So I can't see any problems with the application at this point in time.
Sure, thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, thank you. Look, I think it's quite a benign application. It's an existing use. It has an existing building. It's neat and tidy, of good quality, has all its building approvals. Also, I think the siting of the building on the allotment is sensitive to the western neighbour, and it should have a minimum impact. I wasn't concerned at all over any overlooking, but appreciate that the applicant has agreed to screen that western window. And I think, look, you know, it could be also argued that nature of short-term accommodation, which is intimate occupation of that dwelling, will have a lesser impact than a permanent resident. They're obviously people coming with one car, they'll travel, they'll be out and about. Permanent resident likely could be 2 cars. So I think that's a consideration. So thanks.
Thank you. And yeah, look, I have similar views, members. I was satisfied it wasn't seriously at variance. It's not directly envisaged land use, but it's a complementary non-residential activity of a commercial nature, but it's very similar to residential, as other members have spoken about. The maximum number of guests and hours of operation for arrival and departure I thought were reasonable. I did think the parking arrangement was a little unusual. Normally you'd park directly next to it, but I don't think it's problematic. I thought the efforts to screen the window in the I guess to have a reasonable outcome between the parties was a good outcome. So it sounds as if we are all in agreement. There are 3 recommendations we do have in front of us. Now, I will ask Aaron to come up with the wording, maybe some amended wording for those conditions, but we'll just work through the first 2 recommendations before we get to that. So the first is that the recommendation, the proposal is not seriously at variance. Do we have someone prepared to move? Yes, Graham, you're moving, thank you. And Rachel, I'll take you as the seconder. I can see your hand up. So I'll put all of those in favour, and that's carried unanimously. We then have the second recommendation that the proposal is not at odds with the objects of the Character Preservation Act. Someone prepared to move? Tony, thank you, you're moving. Sarah, I think, seconding. So all those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's carried unanimously. Now we come to the third recommendation, which is that planning consent be granted, subject, I think, Aaron, if we can, to some wording which would just include the operation and management plan in condition 1 and maybe some details in condition 5. If you could just take us through that, please.
Yeah, thanks, through the chair. So I have shared my screen for those online. So Rachel, hopefully you can see that on the screen. So I do have a proposed change to condition 1. So that shall now read as follows: the development shall be undertaken in accordance with the endorsed plans, the operational and management plan dated 4th February 26, and all other documentation accompanying application as per the original recommendation. The other condition that I have proposed a change is, as outlined by Rachel, condition 5, prior to commencement of the use. Installation of screening to the window of the bedroom on the northwest elevation shall be installed, and the rest of the condition is as per recommended. So those 2 changes are now reflected on the screen as requested.
Perfect, thank you, Aaron.
Yes, Rachel's happy with those. Any other comments, members? No. In that case, I'm looking for someone to move that amended recommendation. Yes, Graham. Yep, sure. So Graham. Excellent. So Graham's moving as amended. Is there a seconder? Seconded, Rachel. Thank you. I will put that. All those in favour, please raise your hand, and that's carried unanimously. So for the benefit of those who have joined us, Monica and Lindley, that application has received planning consent. Now it is subject to compliance with all of those conditions. Building consent, development approval will still be required. Now, if you do have any questions around the process from here, whether you have any rights or anything in that respect, please do feel free to talk talk to the staff the next business day. They'll be more than happy to assist you. But we do have 5 more items we need to move through on our agenda now. So you are welcome to either stay with us, or you're also welcome to leave us at this point. And like I said, if you have any questions around the process from here, the staff will be happy to help you. So thank you very much for your attendance and input. You really assisted us with that item. So thank you to you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, members, moving to our next item, this is an application for alterations to an existing on-stream water storage dam to an off-stream water storage dam, a turkey nest, by creating a new dam wall to divert water flows. The applicant is Treasury Wine Estates, and the zone is the rural zone, was performance assessed and notified. Aaron, you're the assessing officer for the application. Is there anything you'd care to take us through as an introduction, please?
Yeah, thanks through the chair. Yeah, look, it is an interesting application. It's something a little bit unusual in that the application involves alterations, as mentioned by the presiding member, alterations to an existing on-stream dam and converting it into a turkey nest. So at the moment the dam is on stream and it captures surface water. The proposer will actually effectively close it off so that it is only filled by water from another source. So the intention of the proposal is to fill the dam from another allotment on the other side to the north of the catchment. It's actually in a separate catchment where they're going to, so effectively High Eden Road is the boundary between what is the North Parra catchment and then the Marn and Saunders catchment on the southern side. And so the intent is to fill the Turkey Nest Dam from another dam, and that water will then be used either to fill a larger dam for irrigation, or it'll be used for other purposes such as cleaning down of equipment. So the reason the application requires development is because it involves alteration to a dam, and that is prescribed as development. The actual taking of the water though from the other dam is not actually development. So the main purpose of the application is to effectively change the characteristics of the dam. The application was subject to public notice, and we received one representation. The representative was initially an objection to the development and had requested to be heard, but through the process, through further engagement with the applicant, has withdrawn their submission, and therefore we don't have a hearing of representations. The application was also subject to 2 referrals, so there was a referral to the Minister in the River Murray Act, given that it involves alteration of the dam within the River Murray tributaries area overlay, and the other referral was to the Northern and York Landscape Board for the same reason, but due to the site being in the prescribed water resources area overlay. Neither referral agency has objected, but the Northern and York Landscape Board has or does not support the transfer of water in the manner outlined, but provided that the water has been transferred within their existing licence, that they have no control over that. So effectively, as long as they're using the water in accordance with their entitlement and allocation, that they can decide what they want to do with that water. So look, overall, I'm recommending approval of the application. The proposal will in effect return on-stream flows to the catchment, as outlined in the application in the report. There will be minimal change to the appearance of the site, so you really won't notice the extent of works. They're so largely internalised. The main consideration, or the main matter that I've did consider needs some further consideration, is in relation to the possible impact on some existing trees that are in the vicinity of the site of the works. Neither referral agency raised that matter as a matter of concern. The applicant has signed the native vegetation declaration, but given there is a possibility that those works may impact trees, there is a need for that to be further assessed, and as therefore recommended, there's a reserved matter in the recommendation for your consideration. Happy to take any questions as well. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. All right, members, there's no hearing of representations, so questions for Aaron on this matter? Yes, Graham. Yeah.
Very quickly, and goes to the point you've just made, Aaron, has the issue of the trees and a management plan or further information with respect to those trees been raised with the applicant?
Yeah, look, when I was out on site, there was some discussion with the applicant, and I should add that the representative from Treasury Wines has just arrived, so you may want to put that question to them if you wish. From my the verbal response from what I was given was that the impact is expected to be fairly minimal, but I think there's a level of there needs to be a level of assessment around, because there's changes to levels in proximity to the trees, that probably needs to be further assessed. And look, probably in hindsight, it could have been picked up earlier in the assessment, but I think what we're suggesting here is a reserve matter can be an appropriate way of dealing with a matter, and I say that on the basis that the trees, whilst there may be some impact, I think that could either be assessed and measures put in place to minimise impact so the trees can be retained, or in the worst case scenario that they can't be, that approval can be sought under the Native Vegetation Act. But as I say, you may want to put that question to the applicant.
I didn't know the applicant was here, but if he is here, perhaps I can put that question to him. So,
Yes, please. If you just come forward to the table there, and there should be a button you can press to turn the microphone on there. Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry, can we just grab your name for the minutes?
Sure, sorry about that. My name's Angus Davidson. I'm the vineyard manager for Treasury Wine Estates at Eden Valley and parts of the Barossa Valley.
well,
so
Angus, you walked in, you heard all of that, so
Yes,
if
yes,
you
sorry.
could elaborate on the concern
Sure.
that I've raised, I'd be very grateful.
Yeah, so there's a couple of trees. The diameter of the trees at the ground level is approximately 30 centimetres, I suppose, and there'd be maybe 2 to 3 branches of approximately 10 to 15 centimetres diameter that might need to be removed within about 1 metre from the ground surface at the moment. Other than that, then I hadn't considered in writing the application the potential for impact. We were trying to minimise any impact on the trees, and in fact I really didn't want to remove any trees at all, full stop, just trimming low branches if we needed to do any sort of earthworks. Any potential impact that may arise through minor changes to the ground levels would have to be taken into consideration then.
Grateful for that. I think the concern might be the overfill, the spoil from the works might suffocate perhaps. These are my words, not an expert's words. But the impact of spoil affecting the health of the trees, the affected trees. Have you got any views about that, or do you think there will be excessive spoil dumped onto the trees that might have that impact?
The aim is to avoid impacting those trees as much as possible, and I think I've had a sort of a vague engineering drawing that would attempt to indicate that we're trying to keep the ground level and the impact on the root systems of those trees pretty consistent and unimpacted.
Just for the members' benefit, I have shown that plan on the screen, and as you can see, the plan shows the design levels for the closure of the dam, and the trees in question. You can see there's one here on that side, and then there's 3 trees that are in this area, and they're the ones that may be subject to some of the change to the surface level. As I said, and I think as Angus has said, I think the extent of change won't be severe, but it does still need to be considered because there can be change effects. As I understand, I'm no arborist, but changes to the ground levels can impact roots either through cutting, or if you're filling, can actually affect the ability for the tree to uptake moisture, through the root system. So that does need to be considered. I think because of the overall benefits of this development to the environment and to the catchment, I think overall that does need to be taken into account. But as I said earlier, with the reserve matter proposed, I think that provides an avenue to be able to resolve the matter.
Yes, Tony, a question for the applicant?
Yeah. Well, it's just probably a statement. Many years ago, we had a similar problem at Williamstown, and they actually put quite a number, it would have been at least 1 metre to 2 metres, and it didn't affect those trees over a period of time. So I've had the benefit of looking at them. So every situation is different, and if there's only a probability that something may change, I can say from that one example that it was only, what's the depth of
I can't really see from here, but from memory, the existing contours are shown in green and the proposed new contours are shown in red. So I think the variation, the contour interval from memories is it could be 10 or 20 centimetres. So it would really be that sort of depth.
Yeah,
I
I could say from that experience that I've previously had years ago, on the all councillors were involved at that stage, that 10 or 20 centimetres, I can honestly think that it'll make no difference at all.
Thank you. Any further questions for the applicant while we've got them with us, or for Aaron?
Quick follow-up.
Yes, yeah.
A follow-up, basically, on the same issue. Have you had a chance to read the reserved matter that's been in front of us that as part of the approval for this application, the wording of the reserved matter?
No, I haven't. The reserve matter being...
Well, it's part of the approval, the proposed or recommended approval. It's not quite a condition, but it's a matter that's got to be satisfied before your full consent has been obtained. But it relates to the need for a native vegetation report to assess the impact these works will have on those the trees in question.
Yeah, essentially, if that's the gist of it, then I don't have any hassles.
Thank you.
Okay. Rachel, your hand was up, I think.
Yeah, sorry, this is probably not so much a question for the applicant, but where my head is at, and this is probably more for you, Aaron, don't have an issue with a reserve matter, but that's on the presumption that it's not a level 3 or 4 clearance. So we're talking it's probably level 1 or 2. Is that correct? Because I'm just thinking procedurally, you've got that formal referral if it's a 3 or a 4 versus it's a 1 or a 2. Now, depending on what comes back, until you get that data report, you kind of don't know, do you? Do you have an inkling? Have you done, I guess I'm trying to ask you, had you had any thoughts on that, or?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Look, my experience with this is I'd be very surprised if this was beyond a level. I'd say it's probably a level 1, but at worst it's probably a level 2, such that I think the risk of that is minimal. I guess the other point to make, though, is that fundamentally approval is still needed under Native Vegetation Act. So, it's not uncommon where you're doing works. I mentioned earlier, if you're doing works to put in a pipe to take water from one dam to another, you don't need development approval. But if you're impacting trees, you need approval under Native Vegetation Act. So, I think whilst the PDI Act tries to integrate with other acts, there is still a need to get other approvals under other acts. So I don't think that obviates the need for them to obtain the appropriate approval under Native Vegetation Act. And I think the reserve matter is a practical way to resolve this. As I mentioned earlier, I think it would have been ideal if we'd had this settled earlier. But we're sort of landed at that point now. I think there's 9 business days left on the clock. So there is a need to finalise the assessment.
That answers my question. I knew you would have thought about it, but I thought it was probably just good to raise, because I wouldn't have thought it would have been a 3 or a 4, but it's kind of just good to flag it so that we're really clear. So I agree. I think it's a practical way of dealing with it.
All right, thank you. If there are no further questions for the applicant at this point, then thank you. You're welcome to retake your
Thank
seat.
you for your consideration and apologies for running late.
No problem. Thank you. Welcome to stay with us, obviously, and observe the decision. Now, members, if there are no further questions for Aaron, your views in respect to this matter, we obviously have, again, a good quality report from the administration and a recommendation that planning consent is granted. It is subject to that reserve matter, as we've heard, and some conditions. What are members' views on this one? Rachel, you first.
Oh, look, I'm happy to go first. I liked this because it was a bit different. So, and it's always good to have these kind of marginally different ones that get you thinking a bit differently. But look, it's pretty innocuous. It's got a net environmental benefit. It made complete sense. The photos you put in there were really helpful. Thanks, Aaron. And I think it links back, and they've still got their obligations under their water licence, which is controlled by that different statutory body. The matter for the transfer of the water, like you said, it's not a DA issue. So we're just simply looking at those alterations to the dam. I'm happy to support the recommendation along with the reserve matter. I think it makes sense and it's practical, and yeah, there's a net environmental benefit. So to me, it's kind of tick, tick, tick. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable.
Oh, thank you. Graham.
Through the presiding member, yes, I echo the comments that Rachel's just made. I was pleased to hear from the applicant too that he has no concerns with the imposition of a reserve matter as is proposed by the administration. So I think with those brief comments, and I too share the comments that Rachel's made, I think it's a worthy application. I think the expected impact, the impact on the impact is generally going to be positive in terms of ensuring that water, an additional quantity of water, goes into the Marne Saunders system rather than being stored in a dam. So all in all, I think the application is worthy of consent and will receive my support.
Thank you. Sarah, I might come to you this time.
Look, my comments sort of resonate with Graham and Rachel's. I don't have any issues with it, and I'm confident that if there were any issues, that Treasury Wines Estate will manage those appropriately, because it does impact the vines and the water that they do use to irrigate. And also, I think any sort of revegetation requirements will be picked up through the native veg approval. So I'm confident that will be to the satisfaction of council as well.
Thank you. And Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with all the comments that have been made. When I looked at it yesterday, thanks to Sarah, it's now very clear that the applicant has really, besides filling in the dam, is making where there's possibly any other washing or what's the terminology? Sorry? Yeah, well, any markings. That'll all be corrected so that any wash or potential washing away from the alteration of where the water's previously gone is going to be remedied. And so I felt really comfortable after hearing today and having a good read last night. So that was really good.
Thank you. And look, I have similar views, members. I don't need to labour the point, but yeah, the land use is not changing. Don't think the works will have any appreciable impact on amenity or neighbours. And I thought the return of water, the return of natural flows was a positive aspect of the proposal. So it sounds as if we are all in agreement. Now, we again have 3 recommendations to work through. So our first is that the proposal is not seriously at variance with the Planning and Design Code. Do I have someone prepared to move? I'll take Tony as the mover and Graham as the seconder. All those in favour, please raise your hand, and that's unanimous. We then have a recommendation that the proposal is not at odds with the objects of the Character Preservation Act. Graham, you're moving, and Rachel, you're seconding. Thank you. All those in favour, just raise your hand, and that's carried unanimously. And then we have our third recommendation that planning consent is granted, subject to the reserve matter, the conditions and the advisory notes. Do I have someone prepared to move that? Yes, Sarah, thank you. Someone seconding? Tony, yes, thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. and that's carried unanimously. So for the benefit of those who have joined us, that application has received planning consent, but it is subject to the satisfaction of that reserve matter and any conditions that may be imposed thereafter, together with the rest of the conditions. So if you do have any questions around the process from here or next steps, please contact the staff. They'll be more than happy to assist you. We have a few other items on our agenda to move on with, so you're welcome to either stay with us or to leave us at this point. So thank you. And members, this takes us off of our assessment items and onto our other matters for consideration. So firstly, there are no reports for reviews of the assessment manager decision, and no reports in respect to panel updates. So that takes us through to other business. And our first item of other business is a delegations update. Is there anything you'd like to say in respect to this item, Aaron?
Yeah, thanks, presiding member. This is simply just an update from the LGA templates. So we've received updates that have flowed through for your consideration. So they're outlined there in the report. There's some new provisions, there's some changed provisions, and there's one provision that's been deleted. So the delegations are recommended as outlined.
Thank you. Any questions in relation to this one, members? No. In that case, I am looking for your views, or whether someone's prepared to move the recommendation, which is essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but that the new delegations be adopted. Rachel, you're happy to move? Yes? All right, excellent. And Sarah, you're seconding. Thank you. I'll put that. All those in favour, please raise your hand, and that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Now, members, our next item of other business is the quarterly report, which Aaron kindly prepares for us. Aaron, do you have any comments you'd like to make in respect to this one?
Thanks, through the presiding member. Nothing really to add beyond the report. I mean, as I've said before, we'll continue to provide a snapshot of all of the applications that have come in and the ones that are assessed by the assessment manager and then by the panel, and the ones that we've decided under delegation. So we provide that list of all of the applications that the panel is the authority for, and the ones that we've determined. So in this quarter, as outlined in the report, there was 3 by BAP, and then there was 11 applications as delegate for the BAP. Still yet to have any deemed consents, which is really positive. So we hope to keep that going.
Well, that would be due to the quality of the administration, no doubt. So, members, do you have any questions in respect of this report? No. In that case, I'm looking for someone to move the recommendation the report be received. Yep, Tony, thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded Rachel, I think, just. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And that's carried unanimously. And yeah, I think on behalf of the panel, thanks to Aaron for continuing to provide those reports. I think they provide a good, useful level of information. Now, this brings us to our third item of other business, which is the annual report from the panel to council. Now, I just want to say at the outset, thanks to Aaron again and the administration staff for drafting this. Aaron was kind enough to run it past me, and I think it was very well drafted and covers a lot of the activities of the panel, and very clearly and articulately. So, do you have anything you'd like to say in respect to this item, Aaron?
Look, this is something this was a new matter that was inserted into the, I think it was the terms of reference, that the council wanted to see an annual report come forward of all of the activities of the panel. It was something that was previously done by most panels, but it sort of fell away by a lot of panels. I see the value in it still as a summary of the activities of the panel for the year, and also an opportunity to highlight any policy matters that arose out of deliberations from development applications. So it just gives a good snapshot of the activities of the panel for the year. The one policy matter that was the main one that was raised there that is mentioned in the report was in the relation to the matter in Angaston, where that was a dwelling addition of 2 stories in height that was in a historic area overlay, and there was some tension around preservation of the existing character, and then and then I guess taking into account the what is possible under emerging character, and trying to find that right balance. And ultimately, the application was refused. But I think what came out of it was a need to further review the policies in relation to essentially infill. Well, not infill, but I guess residential character in the townships. So that's highlighted as a matter for further consideration for the administration. So yeah, we'll bring forward that moving forward as an annual report. And I should add that council, that was obviously presented to council and that was endorsed. Or received, I should say.
Yep. Excellent. Any questions in respect of that one, members? Rachel?
Yeah, just may I ask, when it was presented to council, what was their general consensus? They pretty happy with the operations of the panel and what's been going on?
I might actually refer to Jake on that one. I wasn't at the meeting when that item was received.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel, and through the chair. I think it's safe to say the lack of noise coming from the chamber is a great great tick in the box for this panel. They're very happy with the way this panel has been operating since its inception.
Great, that's really good feedback. Thanks, Jake.
They were pleased with the update, and as Aaron said, a bit of a throwback to yesteryear when the annual reports used to be provided.
I have the joy of sitting on several panels, and it is becoming more common for annual reports to be provided. I know Mal Barker do one, the organisation I work for does one, and it is becoming more common again, which I think is a good thing. So, all right.
Could I just? I see Jake smiling over there. I've been a councillor now for over 15 years. There was a small gap in the middle, and in the good old days, every application used to go through. There was a meeting a month where they could have gone for several hours, and the bun fighting was an order of the day. So councillors knew what was really going on. So the fact these reports, I think, Aaron, and councillors need them so that we can keep our fingers on the pulse a little bit more. And the last one was pretty up to date, which was great, and that's why we were deafened with the silence. We didn't have any complaints about it all, and I think this panel should be commended, and our staff and the officers should be commended, because it's everything is spot on. And the chair especially, going very well. While the praises are going, Aaron's his head has now shrunk back a little bit, but it was blowing up a bit. But I won't rabbit on. But it is good that we talk about things seriously, and if we can get that information back to the elected members, it can all go well.
Oh, thank you. It's well said. Members, I think the recommendation is this report be received. We have someone prepared to move that way. Graham, you're moving. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconder, Tony. Thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That's carried unanimously. And now we're moving to our fourth item of other business, which has been caused purely because of me. So apologies, members, but the organisation I work for, on a whim, without consulting with the administration, decided that they would change their council meeting dates to unfortunately clash with the Barossa panel meeting dates. So I am enjoying my time on the panel and certainly didn't want to give that up or leave Barossa in the lurch. So Aaron and Jake very kindly took it upon themselves to see if there was an alternative date that might suit everyone. So don't know if you want to say anything on this one, Aaron?
Yeah, thanks. Or should I say no thanks, Jeff. Yeah, we, so on the basis of Jeff's clash, we did sound out the members regarding their availability. There were some suggested alternate sort of days within the month that that could be floated, and the main date that was confirmed as being suitable would be the second Tuesday of the month. So if the panel was to adopt an alternate schedule, that's essentially what we would recommend that we go with. Obviously, it's up to the panel. If it doesn't want to adopt that revised schedule, then it would stay as it is. And that just means that there may be times when Jeff, presiding member's unavailable. We do obviously have a deputy presiding member in Graham Burns that can step in as needed. So it is outlined to essentially recommend that the operating meeting procedures be amended to the second Tuesday of the month, and there is a revised calendar of dates that are adopted. The only one that I should say that there is a conflict is the first Tuesday of November. In the second Tuesday, there's the chamber, I believe, is already booked, so it wouldn't be available. So that is outlined for your consideration.
So, members, if anyone has any particular views on this one, Graham?
None whatsoever. But reading the report as it's been printed, and you've just made reference to the meeting in November, but it doesn't seem to be reflected. If I go, I think it's on my page 126. Let me just go to that. And I've got a problem with my mouse at the moment, but it doesn't make reference. We talk about no meeting. I think it is on the. If I get this correct. Item under 2.1, it talks about excluding the second Tuesday meeting in January, but there's no reference there to the second Tuesday in November. I just thought there should be some clarification, at least to make it clear that the scheduled meetings will be held on the second Tuesday of each month, in brackets excluding the second Tuesday meeting in January and the second Tuesday meeting in November. But I'm not sure whether the council's arrangements for November is a one-off for this year or an ongoing thing. So I'm really putting that up for consideration.
I'll need to confirm with Jake and Chris what that booking was, but essentially we didn't outline that in the operating meeting procedures because it's just a one-off. That I think moving forward, this wouldn't be a conflict that would arise in future. Oh, there we go. So it's a special council meeting for the council election, so that's why. So it's a one-off, and therefore I think what would just happen is that the dates that would be adopted would, whilst there would be a conflict with the operating meeting procedures because it's only a one-off, I think that's appropriate.
Right, members, if we're all in agreement, there is a recommendation that we adopt a revised schedule and we shift the meeting date. Tony, happy to move in that direction? Yep, and Graham, you're seconding? Yep, excellent. I'll put that. All those in favour, please raise your hand, and that's carried unanimously. So, thank you to the administration and the panel for accommodating me. I very much appreciate that. So, I hope that doesn't put anyone else out. Yeah. Now, members, we're still in the other business section. I could be wrong here. I'm not sure if we've done this or not, but I know since it's been a while since we've had a meeting, we obviously thanked Jane when she stepped down. I don't know if we've actually officially welcomed Tony as the new member, so the new elected member on the panel. So, congratulations and welcome. Is there any item of other business from members? No, any item of other business from the staff?
I think it's just important to note the next meeting, because we did have listed then I think at the end of the agenda was Tuesday, 5th of May, but that would now be obviously subject to that change. So it will be 12th of May. But yeah, no other business. Thanks.
Thank you. So there are no confidential reports, as we've just heard. The next meeting will be on the 12th of May. So I'm happy to declare the meeting closed at 6:04. Thank you very much to members for your attendance and deliberation on all those items, and thank you to the staff for your support. We really appreciate it.